Portuguese producer named Paulo Branco who came to Toronto, and he said, I have the option on this book by Don DeLillo. And he handed it to me, and I said, okay, I'll read it, because I've read Don before, but not this particular book. I hadn't heard of it. And 2 days later, I phoned him and said, yeah, I would really like to make a movie of this book. That's how it started. That was about 3.5 years ago. I actually wrote the script of it before I shot A Dangerous Method.
And how did you come to assemble this amazing cast?
Stumbled onto it by accident. Sometimes they phone me and beg me, you know, and they offer me, bribe me, with gifts usually, not money, not cash. Well, it's you know, you build up a movie piece by piece, you know, and it's a long process, and it begins in the most simple way, which is, you know, you say, okay, the leading actor is in every scene. How old is the character, you know? And then you say, and he's a New Yorker and he has a particular accent, so you have to have an actor who can do a New York accent, and a lot of American actors can't even do that. So you start to cross off the names off the list, and finally you end up with Ron. He was the only man left standing afterwards. It's a bit like that, and it's the same. But then, you know, once you have the lead, and in this case, it's crucial because he is in every scene, obviously, and that's unusual. There are very few movies that really work that way, even ones with big stars. So it means that you have to start with that actor, and then you build the cast around him. You know, just the tone, the age, everything else, the feel on screen.
And what attracted everyone to their characters and being part of the movie?
Well, I thought my character was terribly attractive. I was just aroused at the idea of a psychopath. And, no, it was more just David was interested in hiring me, and I was available. So I was very excited by that, and Don DeLillo, and then I read the script, and it's a very long, meaty scene, and you don't get that kind of thing a whole lot. So, you know, that was part of it. Sarah?
I had finished A Dangerous Method. Dave and I worked together, and it was January, and I was feeling depressed and withdrawal, because I thought I'll never make another movie with such a great filmmaker, and then he called and asked me to be part of Cosmopolis, and I ran around my house and was really excited. So that's how I came on board.
I bribed him.
He also threatened me.
Well, where I'm from, that's what bribing is. No, I auditioned. And I was terrified, and I did an awesome audition. And I got the movie, and I did a happy joy dance, and I came and do the dance. It's an R-rated dance. But yeah, and then I got to play with all these wonderful people, and yeah, that's me. How about you, Emily?
I too was one of those ones who bribed and begged and didn't pay cash because I'm a Canadian actor, and I too auditioned with myself. I actually didn't have a reader. I didn't have a friend, so I auditioned with myself.
You did both parts? Were you reading both parts?
I did both parts. I changed the voice on my iMovie. And I got cast.
Given the long gestation of a movie, 3.5 years, you said it's amazing how well the movie speaks to the current moment that we live in.
Well, when you think that actually the book was written about 12 years ago, it's more remarkable. But you know, that wasn't really what attracted any of us to it. It wasn't like, wow, we're going to make a movie that addresses the current financial crisis and the dissolution, possibly, of the Eurozone. Because that's really boring, you know, in terms of movie making. But in fact, it had much more for me to do with just the character, the idea of a character who has managed to abstract himself from life so completely that he's just completely in his head and in his limo and disconnected from everything else. And when he leaves the limo, he doesn't know how to talk to his wife, and he doesn't know how to order dinner, and he keeps saying, this is how people talk to each other, isn't it? Because he really doesn't know. That was fascinating to me. So even without it being relevant, in terms of news items, it was something I wanted to do. But yes, it was bizarre that we would, Paul texted me and said, I can't believe this, but Rupert Murdoch just got a pie in the face. And we had just shot the scene where Rob gets a pie in the face. So, and yes, the Occupy Wall Street movement was happening as we were shooting the equivalent in the movie, and that was very bizarre. I started to think, are we making a documentary or are we making a fiction film? So really, it didn't derail us. It didn't change what we did, but it did give it a kind of a poignancy and a potency, that it wouldn't have had otherwise.
And Rob, how do you understand your character? What kind of guy is he?
The most impossible question.
Key is he doesn't understand the character, and he never did. That's perfect. Because Paul says, just the one thing. Paul's character says, quoting St. Augustine, he says, I have become an enigma unto myself, and therein lies my sickness. And that's exactly his character. He doesn't understand himself.
There's your answer. Wonderful. Thank you. That's why he's the director. And I'm just a fool.
But you can say something else if you want. I have to just say that Rob has been answering basically that questions for the last 3 weeks in many countries. So
I've still not been able to answer it. I know. So I might as well, this is the last night, so you guys just got the short straw. I don't know anything. Don't know anything at all.
That's why he's really good.
I don't claim to know anything.
Well, shall we open it up to the to audiences? Questions from the audience. We have mics at the sides here. If you can please step up to the mic, take your cue, please. Oh, well, I can keep asking. There you go.
The haircut. No one has really talked much about the haircut in the press that I've seen. I did read the book previously, and I could be wrong, it was a little while ago, but there was no mention about the qualifications of the barber. And the barber that he went to, if I'm correct, in the book, he just gave a half haircut. But your barber didn't seem to be at all qualified. It seemed to be a very antiquated barber shop. The guy probably hadn't had a client in like 10 years. It was a different scenario. So maybe talk a bit about that whole symbolism of the haircut.
Yeah, it's exactly as it is in your book, actually.
Like I said, it was a while ago.
Yeah, no, actually, because the dialogue is 100% from the book. And so when he says he would have torn out my last remaining chair, for example, that's right from the book. So that means, yeah, it's a barber shop that's in ruin. It's in a section of town that's going completely downhill. He doesn't have a lot of customers, and he's kind of a retired old barber who is does the odd little job, and that's about it. So that it's pretty accurately from the book. If you think of the dialogue that the barber speaks, he's talking about his past, really, and that is what the haircut's all about. I mean, it's Eric Packer is returning to his youth. He's traveling. It's not only a road movie, a very slow road, But it's also a time travel movie. He's going back to his past, to where he got his first haircut, and to connect with his